This is Daf Yom Yerushalmi Pesachim in the article Ozbar Edition Daf Chav Beis Amud Aleph, right after the Mishnah Elo Ben Pesach and Chule. That is the header. In the Vilna, there is no header. It's on Yud Testament base, right after Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Mana Chule. And so the Gemara is talking about all the things in the Mishnah, which are chametz, dagon gomer, aidei talebis. They are chametz. They are used. Chametz gomer. They are absolute chametz. Just that they have a talebis, their mixture. So the when it says there's got to be water involved. Otherwise, there's no issue of chametz because may pairs say machmitzim. So going through these substances, where it says kuta bavli, which is this famous Babylonian yogurt. It has little pieces of the dough so that dough has become chametz. It's mixed in with the yogurt. Sheikh Ramadi, the median beer, it has barley flour. Again, it has to have some water in order to be a fermenting issue. Chametz hadomi is besima de rumya. This is a kind of fragrant vinegar of either it says carbonated, it says either of people of Rome, besima de Romia, or people of the south, besima drumya. Initially, when they made wine for the purpose of the nesachim, and the wine would not ferment. So Korban says, so they put barley in order for it to become chametz. In other words, actually, you should not say chametz, they say chometz, vinegar. In other words, they couldn't make vinegar out of the wine. The wine had to be good for the purpose of the korbanos, so therefore they couldn't make vinegar out of it. In order to make it vinegar, they had to add barley flour to it, and only then would it become vinegar. Obviously, Shemash Beis Mikdash. That's Shemash Beis Mikdash Chaim nowadays, when there's no Beis Mikdash, it becomes vinegar much more easily. And this would be called, when they would make this vinegar, they would call it besima durumya, the substance we're talking about in the Mishnah. Zeisam mitzri. So this is called zeise. The Kohen says mitzri machash according to zeisim, who's plus a sareh, plus a kurtame, plus a milcha. It's a third barley, a third saffron, a third salt. So obviously the barley can become chametz. Zume tzavoin, the yoy begabe kotzam begin the klot tziba. So they used to put inside this the starch of the dyers. They would give some as Korban says, shows about mayim subim. They put it into water of bran, so to come out this to cause the dye to be more effective. I'm going to show tabachin. This is well, this is what it says. Maybe you bring pieces of stalks, not stalks, kernels. Well, Korban says shibolim, which are actually stalks. Shlish. He says the Gemara says that it didn't grow a third. The koshan, and you pound them. But also some kachlos charia, and you make from them something called murika. Says it's called zufran b'lashon Ashkenaz. So let's do a saffron like before. So they, I guess you put saffron into it. Saffron is its own spice, right? And you put it into a pot. And here it says, "Bu abid kildin," the There's different gears here. I don't know if it's from the lighting. Avir klidon. In other words, it removes the pollution. Klidon in Greek evidently means pollution. The that is from the Radal, Abasin Yerushalmi, and the Aruch says that it is it actually means it becomes a ma'avi kalidin. Carbonator says it becomes a madan chashuv, significant delicacy. Anyway, this is different than the article points out. It's different than the Bavli. Bavli has a different shot. Because here it says that they used to use. I lost the place here. Was made from grain and not from a dough, because here it said that it would make from it a chalal shachri, which means the dough was made from grain, and it was used in order to, when it was for similar purpose, I guess, to what that first shot we gave, which is to remove the some sort of pollution from the pot. Okay, whatever it is. The next line is a very cryptic line. Sofrin, they were like what they used to be called? The things which held laundry. Clothespins. I had to look that up. So Zabi, the governor is as the Girsa, which like the Bavli, Tavios. So by Alexandria Tavios show, but say they're like clothespins made out of dough in order to hold the parchment in place. The Alexandria, I believe, was a place was there were a lot of scribes, and according to the Yerushalmi which I have in front of us, they used to make even their bathtubs out of they had a lot of dough, I guess. Also, they used to make the bathtubs out of dough, and it seems, however, that the parchment is that they used to have bathtubs full of dough. And the article brings down that there was some sort of way in which they worked papyrus, which required them to have dough in order to work the papyrus, not as to use it to hold down the parchment or writing, but something in the process made papyrus. That says even women's cosmetics. Isaitani takshite, those who learn the Yerushalmi Mishnah as takshite, cosmetics. Isaitani tipule, those who said treatments. So the treatments, says the carbonator, this is a type of flour, which you put on the face, ladena basar, to work the skin. When they have hairs, it's a depilatory. And they're not old enough to have hair. They use this in order to remove the hairs. Madamar tipule, he who says tipule, which is, he says here, is chayil varb avgad mois harbe. Evidently, it's depilatories are not particularly pleasant, so they're disgusting. So therefore, if you have to mevar the tipule, koshken takshite, you don't have to mevar the takshite because cosmetics are more fragrant and pleasant. Mandamar takshite, who says that you have to mevar the takshite, hot tipule lo, not the tipule, because they are more disgusting. Okay, it says you're not allowed to eat anything fermented. The Rabos Kuta Chabavli, this includes the Kuta Chabavli, the Sheikh Ramadi, the Chaymet Sadem, Shubazora. There's a lot. Yochia Bucharest, so I said there's chorus involved in them as well. Tamlama Kikol Chametz Minichrosa, anybody who eats Chametz Minichrosa. So the the Karma explains, Koloksib Kol Machmetzes. Doesn't say anything which contains something fermented, but rather Kikol Chel Chometz. The lab is Kol Machmetzes Lo Sochelu. The Kares is Kikol Chel Chometz. From this, you see, Lamed Kol Chometz Dagan Gomer, Anish Kares V'Uvo Kikon Shechar Modi, B'chulei B'lav. So only on Chometz absolute grain do you get by itself. I'm sorry, absolute Chometz. In other words, complete chametz, not mixed in, so that you get kares. On the substance mentioned in Mishnah, it's only a lab, only a regular prohibition. Chevraya bunkan Rabbi Yonah. The chevra asked from Rabbi Yonah, Hachasiv kol, v'achasiv kol. Says, I don't understand. Hachas says the Korban Eidah, gabi lav, ksiv kol, right? V'achas gabi kares, kol, ksiv kol. So why do you say that by the lav we include an iser for tarovis chametz? We preclude from that a tarovis, right? So the Gemara is focusing not on the between chametz and machmetzes, between the word kol, which it says by ochel chametz, and kol, which it says by machmetzes. So kol is riba; it should include everything, regardless. So the Gemara gives a fascinating answer. So kan riba ba'oichlin, where it says kan riba ba'oichlin, kol gabi kares ksi ba'oichlin. It says about the people who are eating it. Kan riba b'nei cholin. And the other ones about the substance. Korban considers ma'abri ochlin danu noshim shu chavim b'ktar kares. Comes to women that are chayav kares. Kan riba b'nei cholin kol si gabi galab the kol machmetzes ksi b'nei cholin. Marbina Taravishnachal. So by the kol ochel chametz, we don't include anything other than the chametz itself, because that kol is going on the people. We're saying anybody who eats chametz, not just men, also women. Whereas the kol, which it says by machmetzes, that includes the necholin, anything which can be eaten, and it therefore includes all types of tarovis, but only for a lav, not for an actual chorus. Okay, so now the last question. Lots of question. I have a problem with this question. We see the Ridbaz has a difficulty with it. Now is assuming that the substance of Mishnah can be made into majority chametz. It seems actually that they're really minority chametz, but I'm not sure what's so difficult. We'll talk about a case where they're made into robe chametz. So the Gemara asks, "Vatani yotzi matzah mitubeles." It says you're yotzi with matzah which is spiced. Even though we had this yesterday, before. Even though a couple of days or whatever it was, so you're yotze with matzah which is spicy, even though it doesn't have a taste of grain. We should ruba dagan, as long as they're majority of grain. So the cases on our Mishnah, however, ruba and chametz. Now it sounds like I said, it sounds like a case on our Mishnah are a case where the majority is chametz, and they're obviously not. It's mostly beer or whatever else, or yogurt, whatever it is. So okay, but let's assume we're talking about a case where you made majority of chametz, and yet nevertheless, from the implication of our Mishnah is that you'd be putter from kares. So why, if you'd say matzah with them, that means it has to be something which comes in a chimutz and presumably requires shmirah, lest you come chayav kares. Because it became chametz, so therefore they should also be chayav kares if it actually did become chametz, right? And yet our Mishnah seems to apply that even the majority is chametz, as long as it's not completely chametz, you're part from kares. Very big chiddush. Yerushalmi says. Yerushalmi says because that's coming. Shani says receive lechem gabi matzah. Chosh ruba daga mikre lechem. It's called lechem as long as the majority is bread, because it is something which becomes chametz. So therefore, it's chalei shem bread, right? As opposed to saying elu einam lechem, the things that are Mishnah, elu time masisa lav lechem linu, maybe them Torah lechem. They don't have a chalei shem bread. Even though majority is chametz, you're not chayav, which is very remarkable chiddush of the Yerushalmi here. The Gemara is not so satisfied with this. The Gemara doesn't like this so much. Yossi, but Tanya didn't learn kol atzmo eno lechem ela matzah. Shivas yom tochal matzos lechem oni. So it says kol atzmo ikar kabina lechem. That which you need to have a chalei shem bread, Dafka b'matzah. It's specifically by matzah, who the copy kra. The pasuk is insistent on that. The chsi bay it says bay lechem gomer. It says be absolute bread. Avhecha toyolif minei chometz minei. I learn chometz. Why have chometz in this? The chometz I feel ain't a lechem chayav olav. But chometz is not such stipulation. Be bread. So what do you mean? If it's a majority of chametz, so therefore it's not batel. So therefore you should be chayav. Because it's bread, not bread, right? So again, lechem el matzah. Shivas yomim tochal of matzos lechem oni. Specifically issued by matzah, not by chametz. So what do you mean? We're going to go to the Mechal Amayim, slight switch, the next more line. Hacham is like Hecha. Or Gerson, the Shin is the Hacha. And here at Yoliv, it should be Chametz and Matzah. You want to learn Chametz and Matzah? No comparison. Two different halachas. How can you compare the two? And therefore, it should come back to this assumption that the majority is, once the majority is Chametz, it should be a Chayav Kares. And I'll prove to you that the parameters are not the same. But the time you learn Yotzi, person could be Yotzi to give a matzah in a soaked pancake. Soaked, obviously, matzah pancake, over a kik mabusha, or a cooked matzah pancake. Shlonimcha, as long as it's not dissolved. Law mile shlonimcha, it's only if it's not dissolved. Okay, but because that's required by matzah, it should not be dissolved. So this is I'm not. But chametz at Omar, but in the terms of chametz it says himchas chametz u'gemara. If you dissolve the chametz, it's swallowed in chayav. So clearly you don't have the same parameters which you have by matzah by chametz. So therefore here, if it's the majority is chametz, why should it not be chayav? So it says gemara, my kadun. What's the conclusion here? And Rabbi said ein chimutzo chimutz bar. So I like how the article goes into great detail on this in footnote 17. He says the prohibition of tarovis chametz is less severe than the prohibition of chametz gomer. So because the unique taste tamo yichudi of chametz is not recognizable not distinct in the mixture. And therefore, even though the tarovis is majority chametz, which is of course also midaraisa, there's no chiyuv kares, and this is similar to chametz nuksha, which has no chiyuv kares, where also we said that ein chimutz gomer, even though there it seems that it arrested the process, doesn't really become leaven. But here it says just like chametz nuksha is less severe from absolute chametz because its chimutz is not complete chametz. In other words, it does not enhance the food the same way that chametz gomer enhances the food. It references a Minchas Baruch here. So too the food of a mixture of chametz. In the case where the majority is chametz, it's not ein chimutz or chimutz bar, meaning it doesn't have the enhancement of taste that chimutz normally gives to chametz. And it goes on. It says, but other isurim that the Torah asers the eating of the substance of the iser, the gufa iser, and when other things get mixed in, it still retains that iser as long as it's not batel, even though the taste of the food is different than the taste of the iser itself, because the substance of the iser is a substance of iser. But chametz, on the other hand, it's not that. The iser is the taste of the chametz. The tasting, a unique taste of chametz, and not the substance of the iser, but the taste of chametz. And therefore, when the other things mixed in, it changes the taste of the chimutz, the taste of the leavening. It's not chametz gomer, and it's similar to chametz nuksha. And therefore, they're both no chiyuv kares, only a lav which comes from the Rebbe Pasuk of kol machmetzes. And he says here, this is from the Chazon Yechezkel, the Meitzer Ilui. I've not seen the article called the Meitzer before, and the Dibros Moshe, and the Leib Yerushalmi, all based on the Baal Amor. Okay? Very cool elaboration. I like it. Malchukas, so Tarovis Chametz, you get Malchus. Rabbi Yirmiyah, Hashem, Rabbi Lezer, and Rabbi Leb, Hashem, Rabbi said, Aflukos ain't a loka. There's not even Malchus. Now, everybody has a lot of difficulty with the next Gemara. So the Yerushalmi Pesachim brings them from the Svidei Yerushalmi, one of these, from the Kisvayat, that there should be a line here which is missing. It says, it should be Milsi the Rav Amra Aflukos ain't a loka. The words of Rav taught us also that there is no Malchus. Okay, that we have the next line. The Tani, we learned al chametz barur, the chayiv kares, the absolute chametz, you get kares. Ro, antarus chametz so big, I'm going to get 40 lashes. Rav Amar, Rav said zeh shir. Now it says here shir with a shin, but it's not. It's supposed to be shir. It's supposed to be seer with a samach, or seor, as the Christian is close as, or you pronounce it seor. It's the same thing. In other words, it's referencing to something where it already started to become chametz, but it's not fully chametz yet, which is chametz nuksha. So he says on chametz nuksha you get you get malchus. So the obvious question is v'amar. There's a different gear, so here or not a different gear, but it should be like it's like v'omar. V'omar, let him say the more obvious case, right? Eruvo. What do you mean? Eruvo is seor. And as seor, the cracks get mixed up with each other. We didn't have it yet, but the cracks get mixed up with each other. That's kind of like where the beginning of the fermentation process. So, but say that was the more obvious thing, right? Which is our case. So it must be that he holds that this price is Malchus doesn't apply, can't be there about Kutar Bavli and Sher Hamadi because he holds that there's no Malchus on Kutar Bavli and Sher Hamadi. Rabun Kana argues and Rakumi Rabbi Lua. Rabun Kana says in front of Rabbi Lua, Tipater, no, it could be not learning the price like Rav. In any event, it could be a price to tell you about Tipater, Chametz Matzah Sheni Sarvu. That the Brisa which says get Malchus is talking about the chametz and matzah which got mixed together. The chametz and matzah which got mixed together, there is malchus. So he doesn't want to say that it's talking about seer like Rav, which is difficult. He also doesn't want to say about kutar Bav and Sher Hamadi. Yes, he also holds like Rav that there's no malchus. So he says talking about chametz, absolute chametz which got mixed up with the matzah, and therefore there's no chiyuv malchus because it's batel the matzah. So Gemara says, wait, I don't like that either. I'm Rabbi Yossi Kashi saw the Rabbi Barakana. That difficult that which Rabbi Barakana said. Manakay Matei about Imashu b'chametz. If the majority your taroibus here of chametz and matzah is chametz chayav kares, then you chayav kares, right? Imashu b'matzah, if you are going to say about the majority is matzah, then not only you're not Potter from Malchus, but Yetzimi the Chametz of Pesach, Yetzim even Pesach with them because the Chametz is batel, the rice obviously your Chametz is batel on the matzah, and therefore it's a matzah. Well, doesn't answer that question. The one goes on to a different way of learning the brisa. It says that Tana Rabbi Yosha Unya said Tipata sheyesh bo chametz bein bo kazayis. So Korban says yesh bo chametz bein. I feel like aim bo kazayis. The Irish aim bo kazayis. There's no kazayis. And from Malchus, you have kazayis. The kashi hachi I feel Malchus time. So that's case shouldn't be Malchus either. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Shimon. It's Rabbi Shimon. Shimon are kosher Malchus. Right? Rabbi Shimon says a Korban. Bryce asks Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon aimer kosher. I feel Malchus me kazayis. Malchus or love. I have a course like kosher. You need Malchus on kosher, but there is no comment and no. There is no chorus on a mashu, only chorus on a kazayis. Okay, that brings us to the end, to the next Amar then for it's a relatively short day. Well, some days have been recently. Stop here.